I'm joined now by the Liberal MP for Kew in Victoria, Tim Smith. Tim, welcome to the program. Let's start with the news from last night, which we broke here on the show. The Parliament has approved the appointment of an independent authority to help the government negotiate a treaty or treaties with Victoria's First Nations peoples. Now, when it was in the lower house, you were one of the few people to speak against the bill. What will this new treaty authority mean and what kind of precedent does it set?
Well, good evening, Chris. It's a very, very concerning development because what it means is that Victoria is moving along the process to have a treaty with its own citizens. Now, of course, a state government having a treaty with anyone, as you know, is ridiculous. But going down that path to negotiate a treaty with your own citizens, I think, is fundamentally wrong and fundamentally illiberal. And my grave concern with this treaty organisation that passed the Parliament, or the enabling legislation that passed the Parliament last night, it's going to have millions of dollars given to it. And I'm very, very concerned that this could yet be another ATSIC-style Indigenous body that doesn't serve in any way, shape or form to close the gap, as it were. I mean, this is virtue signalling writ large. It's tokenistic, it's woke, it's divisive, and it will do absolutely nothing to deal with the very severe issues facing Indigenous communities around Australia.
And so when we talk treaties, does that also mean reparations down the track? Is that part of this legislation? How does it work?
Well, this entity is set up to negotiate between Indigenous groups and the state of Victoria towards a treaty. Now, my view is that it will end up being a negotiated reparations outcome.
Right.
That's what I think is going to happen here, that there will be reparations paid to one group of citizens based on their race, and I just think that's fundamentally illiberal, fundamentally wrong and fundamentally un-Australian.
All right, let's get to the Victorian election now. Matthew Guy's finally emerged from some murky shadows in the past couple of weeks and is landing some punches on hospital spending in particular, and he's promised to scrap the dreamt-up suburban rail loop. Are these issues gaining traction with the Victorian public, do you think?
Yeah, they are, and this was a good announcement today by Matthew Guy and the Liberals. This was a very good announcement, actually, because this suburban rail loop was literally dreamt up on the back of a beer coaster before the last election. There was no business case, no cost-benefit analysis. They dreamt up a price tag that will bear no resemblance to what, this is a 90-kilometre tunnel that they're claiming will cost $50 billion. Well, that's ridiculous. I mean, this is a $100 billion project at least. We can't afford it. That's the first point. I mean, Victoria has more debt than New South Wales, Queensland and South Australia combined. So this is a very economically prudent decision by the coalition. But more importantly, we have a health and hospitals crisis in Victoria, and this money needs to be redirected to halving that hospital waiting list that is such an issue for so many Victorian families. And I think this is a good decision. Everyone knows that we can't afford it. We support a rail link to the airport, but not a 90-kilometre tunnel that, frankly, I just think this. I mean, everyone knows that this is a press release from Labor that was issued before the last election that will never see the light of day anyway.
It was revealed today that a big shindig is being planned by some of Victoria's wealthiest in the coming days to raise money for Chairman Dan. It is a sign of just how tough this challenge is for you Liberals. The punters only donate to those they think will win.
Yes. Well, particularly given that the unions can give as much money as they like in Victoria to the Labor Party, but individuals are restricted to donating $4,000. So the playing field is not level in Victoria after Labor changed the rules in 2018. All I can say is that the Liberals in Victoria will have a very strong plan for Victoria's future, and hopefully we attract enough votes to defeat this terribly corrupt Labor government here in Victoria.
You just got to work twice as hard as the other mob. Now, one thing I cited today, which startled me, was an online meme or campaign showing just how green the Victorian Liberals are prepared to look. This is Vic Lib's Twitter account showing how the policies are better under Liberal Victoria, which is a play on the Hungry Jack slogan. Is this the anti-carbon direction you need to go in?
Well, look, Chris, I think everyone knows my views on this subject, that I don't support this policy, and, you know, I'm not sure why we would be putting out those sorts of memes when, you know, we've got more debt than New South Wales, Queensland and South Australia combined, and that's the issue that we need to be talking about, which is getting rid of this silly suburban rail loop and channeling that money into the hospitals and health crisis that is affecting so many Victorian families as we speak.